Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a fabulous day. So, today I'm coming to you with a special project. I want to design a logo. I started a new channel. I'm experimenting with a couple new medium, and one of them is music. And as you guys know, I go by the persona of Chaos. That's been a long time, even before I used to do Raging Nerdgasm back in the day. And what I want to do is kind of like a hand brush, and it says Chaos Music. And I could go and do this digitally. And I've actually thought about this for a couple of days. I want something simple, something that stands out. And then I want a brush stroke that goes all the way around it, kind of circling it. And excuse me. I want something that is handmade. So I did try to go Adobe Illustrator and look at some fonts and do it that way, but it just doesn't feel genuinely enough. And unfortunately, right now we're sitting in an era where at any point somebody could say, no, I no longer want people using this font or that font. So I decided to just kind of go ahead and make my own. So let's go ahead and start with some basics. So this is just the basic plate that we have around the house. And I'm just going to start with this. What I do with a pencil? I literally just had a pencil right in front. There they are. All right. And I'm just going to lightly draw what I want to do on here. And don't mind me, guys, if I sound a little rough. I have a horrid headache. And I do not know why I have a horrible headache. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. You guys can see what I'm doing. So you can see there is the fine line there. And I'm trying to do this very lightly. And then I'm going to use my ruler. Okay, so this thing has a circumference of, yeah, I know those math terms. So about 8.5 inches. So I'm looking at 4 inches and a quarter. So let's go ahead and do, I'm going to do half a space here from the top. And then I'm going to go from 4, then I'm going to leave, a quarter of an inch. Quarter of an inch, and then I'm gonna go down to 3 3/4. And again, I'm doing this the hard way, but it's okay though. Like I said, I'd rather have something that is genuine and it's mine, and nobody can say no, you did not make this logo, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, don't feel like dealing with you today. So right now I'm just kind of drawing my parameters before I even use the ink. Okay, and I'm also giving myself some leading, some spacing in between. If you ever do some graphic design stuff, you'll find out of what all that means. If you're doing comics, it's called gutters. If you're doing some typography, I believe if I remember correctly, it's called leading. Because they used to put a piece of lead between the letters back when they used to do the newspapers, so that way they can add some spacing. Okay. And from here, so I have chaos. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters. Music. So that's 5 letters. I know it seems kind of dumb that I have to do that, but here I is. Okay, so let's go. I'm gonna do. It's 8.5, so I'm gonna give myself a quarter of an inch in this side, quarter of an inch on that side. And again, you don't have to do it this way. This is just the way that I like to do things. Okay, so we have 8. Where's my phone? Okay, 8 divided by 6. Because like I said, I have normally I can do this math in my head, but I have a horrible headache. So 1.3. So we're looking at about 1 inch and a third. So that's 1 inch. So that's 1.5 inches. So maybe I just need to do this. I also need to do some spacing there. 1.5 inches. Spacing there. And this is why I'm doing it at this stage, because I can easily make modifications if I need to. So that's not going to work because you could see adding a half an inch in between is going to leave my letters way, way up here. So let's go ahead and do some modifications. Okay, so let's start right here. Let's do about a quarter. So let's do about an inch and a half. Leave a quarter. We'll put X in between. Inch and a half. X in between. And even then that doesn't quite work. This is OG right here, folks. Like really OG. Pushing the ink out of the way. Yeah, because it only gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I need 6. That means that I'm gonna have to go probably beyond the edge of this. And that's okay though. So instead of doing an inch and a half, let's do an inch and a quarter. So I'm going to start here, inch and a quarter, half an inch spacing. So let's do that. 1 1/4, quarter space. Okay. Again, I'm experimenting. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I mess it up and I just get a brand new sheet of paper. That is, you gotta learn how to take risks sometimes, man. Experiment. This is how you come up with your best stuff. You're just sitting there just experimenting and being a goofy goober. Okay, so 1 1/4, half. Okay, see 1, 2, 3. This looks a little more promising. 1 1/4. Okay. Okay, so it's a little off, but it's in the right direction. Okay, and then right here, I see this has some lines in it too. So see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let's go ahead and kind of work this out. Khayos. Right here, I'm gonna use these as my markers. And notice how these hatches are going in the same direction. So I'm trying to keep that rhythm going. Okay, so that's pretty much the basic idea that I have. I don't know how good this is going to turn out, but I wanted another excuse to use the brush pen. If I may be quite honest. Okay, so I'm going to start by pouring a little bit of pen. This is one of my personal dishes. I did not borrow anybody's dishes in my house. And it's ink, you could just wash it off. So before I proceed, let me get this brush ready. Let me make sure that is sealed. There we go. Alright, let's go from there. Let's do a little bit of practice because I am most definitely not going to get this right off the bat. Let's be honest. I am really not. So I got to prepare it and brush. You can tell like used it a little bit last time. Now I was considering using, believe it or not, the little spice jars to retain the ink in the future. So if you see little spice jars in the future, that's why. So I'm just trying to get my exercise going. Okay. That seems to be pretty good. Okay, so that is a pretty good start. I got most of my bleed out of the way. So let's go ahead and push this to the corner. Oh, the problem is I now have some ink penetrating through. Again, I got carpets. I gotta be real careful what I'm doing here. I can't spill any ink or oh, I'm gonna be really upset at myself. Okay, so I'm gonna push this over here. I'm gonna bring this over. Okay. And if I fumble it up, well, I fumble it up. Don't know why I like this logo. I just do. I just think it's cool. I wanted something different. Try to make sure I don't have a tangent line. Ah, this one bled. That's okay though. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of cleanup there. So that's the part that I was kind of scared of. Hmm. It's kind of goofy. Looks kind of crazy. Comme c'est comme ça. I'm kind of mixed. I wish I would have gotten that a little bit better. But I think this next time around, so I'm gonna put this to the side for a moment. I want to try to see if I can do this just by winging it instead of overthinking it. Let me see what I can do by just winging it. Sometimes that's how you get your best ideas. You're just winging it. You're not to worry about it. Just kind of doing your thing. Let me get an extra sheet. Hey, come here. I'll push back a little bit so that I can do straight up and down. It does okay into here. Then I kind of lose it. Not too crazy about that. That did not turn out how I wanted. Okay. Okay. Let me try it again. Again, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I bought this for like $2.25. I can mess this up as much as I want. That's the best part of this. And again, I wanted an excuse. Let's try again. Looks like a horror film. Again, this looked a lot better in my head. And sometimes that does happen too. Come up with a concept, you're like, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Then you go to execute, not so awesome. So let's try this. This looks like doo-doo. But that's okay, though. Hmm. It looks interesting. What do you think? Okay, so I got version 1. Okay, like I said, this definitely looks like a murder scene right there. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, version 2. No, excuse me. Version 2, which the K gets lost, so that's unfortunate. And then here is version 3. Okay. So, here's what I'm probably gonna do. Okay. I'm probably gonna draw these letters separately, and then I'm gonna bring into Adobe Illustrator and then try to create a digital version of that there. So, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. And again, this is just me experimenting. It's good to experiment. Little typography. I think that's the problem, too much ink. Not loving that S, that's for sure. Alright. Let's try that. Ah, it's supposed to be a C. It's okay though, because these are all going to be separate letters, so this I can remove digitally. I do like the K, the A, the Y. Chaos music. Again, this is just a quick idea, some quick concepts. Let's see where this goes. So I have to let this dry before I can scan it. So let's go from there. And I think this is probably going to be my best one right here. Mostly because I am currently, like I said, I'm drawing the letters separate. I'm not trying to draw it as a composition. And this S I should be able to recycle up here as well. Alright. Gotta let that dry. Alright. Let's go ahead and move on to the second phase. Now, I went ahead, as you can see, the desk is right there. Part of my art supplies is still light. I just finished picking up. This completely dried up. I scanned it, and then I brought it into Photoshop. I removed my S because, I don't know, I was a goofy goober and I wasn't paying attention. And I'm using Adobe Illustrator. I've been using Adobe Illustrator since like the 90s. I also used to teach it at the university, so this is me just kind of bouncing. This is pretty much what I do. I just pretty much go from like one mode to a different mode, and I just kind of go from there. So from here, I have my illustration. I'm going to go to image trace. So right now, this is black and white. Not a lot going on in here. Now, I can get really detailed with this. I can go to high fidelity photo, low fidelity. I'm just going to do a basic trace and see what it does. So go ahead and go here. Give me a basic trace. Let's expand it. There it is. There is now, this is now a vector shape. And then what I'm going to do is, I always like to have a backdrop color in the background so I can clearly see what I'm doing. Oops, let's move that down here. And I'm going to pick a really, let's pick a blue. I like to pick a blue. So this way, if I see any white, it will stand out. That looks good to me. So let's go ahead and lock that up. And then I'm simply going to go in here. I can select the magic wand tool. Make sure anything that's white gets deleted. And there we go. Now I have several components in here. Now the next thing that I also want to do is go ahead and kind of break this down. So I'm going to select this. Control Shift G. I'm going to unlock them. And then I am going to regroup them one at a time. So that is going to be my K. And that's going to be my H. This is going to be my A. Oops. So for here, we need to go ahead and do a little bit of snip snip. Let's go ahead and cut that. And normally I have a Cintiq for this, but my Cintiq, I'm using it as my monitor so I can monitor what I'm doing here. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Select that. Okay, make sure I select everything. And I'm going to use, yeah, let's just use the regular selection tool. I'm going to turn this off for a moment. Sometimes my eyes are getting bad. I'm in my 40s now, so it's like a hit or miss. G, this is my Y. Select. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for the tutorial. There's my O. Here's my S. Okay, here is my M. And there's my U. And there's my S, which I'm probably going to use up there. I can make custom typography. I might just be doing that down the line, but for this time around, I'm just going to keep it simple. Excuse me. Okay, so there is my letters. Let's go ahead and organize these. So K. Where's my H? H. Now I bounce between a lot of pieces of software, so I apologize if I'm not pulling all my like super snazzy shortcuts, because like I said, I bounce all over the place. I go everything from doing data analysis to doing some UX to just all over the place. So at some point, sometimes especially with the updates, sometimes you forget all the shortcut keys. If I'm to be frank. Okay, I don't like this S, so that S is gonna go bye-bye, but I am going to duplicate this one. Select you, move you up here. Okay, let's do S1. And then M. Okay, so the M needs to be modified a little bit more. I think I can make this a little bit more predominant. There we go. So that way that kind of stands out a little bit more. It kind of got lost a little bit when I was doing the brush, but I still want to keep that raw hand look in there. There we go. That looks kind of, sort of. Yep. There we go. So we're M. U. S2. What is this path? That means somewhere in here. I did not grab something. Okay, yeah, that could go. That's such a minute thing. That could go. And there's the I. And then there is the C. Okay, so kind of meh at the moment, and that's totally fine. But let's see what can I do with it. Now that this is a vector shape and they are in groups, let me see what I can do. So for right now, I'm going to temporarily kind of lock this and turn that off. And what I want to do is bring in a circle. Default. And I want to go ahead and center this to the stage. And what I want to do, and this is going to be really old school, those of you guys who know what I'm talking about. Brushes. Let's going to go to the artistic brushes. I don't know if I want the calligraphy. Now the calligraphies are kind of meh. Maybe the artistic ones. Charcoal. See what charcoal has. Charcoal normally doesn't let me down. I often find some good stuff there. And then there's also the inks. The inks are okay. I can see comme ça. And then let me see what else I got. To stick paintbrush. I always forget about paintbrush. Excuse me. My nose. Okay, so I want to go ahead and grab this, and I want to try some of these different. Ooh, that seems promising. Okay, that actually fits a little bit better. That looks like The Ring. Remember the movie The Ring? Am I that old? Back in my day. Make it nice and thick. Okay. Alright, so maybe this might be the better option. Yeah, because these are, let me see. That looks okay. Just want to give it a nice hand feel to it. Too thick. And you can, if you have an Adobe account, they do have more templates so you can download to the web page. But I always like to stick to the classics because sometimes like it just gets disconnected, if I may be frank. So I just kind of just like to stick to the OGs. Okay, so let's stick with this for now, and then from there, okay, let's see what I could do in here. Okay, select everything. I'm going to shrink everything down a little bit. And then I need a layer with guides. Okay. The ruler. Bring this in. New top. So this is spacing at the top and the bottom. Then I'm going to give myself like the main line. And again, this can change. That's why I have like a guides folder, so I could just kind of do whatever I want and let's lock that up. Okay, so let's start with this bad boy right here. So let's do that. Looks like a horror show. So notice how I'm lining up the bottom of these letters to like this, like a base. I do gotta be careful with the K for whatever reason. Maybe I just need to grab the circle, and this is part of the problem I was encountering before. So have the lightest point here so it doesn't get lost. There we go. Have the lightest point there. Okay, and then from there, or even better, I can go here. So let me duplicate this. Anytime I do anything here, I like to always duplicate my layer so I can always go back, and I'm going to turn that off. And I'm probably going to cut here, and I'm going to cut here. So this will get cut out. See? So that way it just kind of, it looks like it's like a implied line with the K continuing the circle, especially this right here. So let's go ahead and try to do that. Kind of like the chaos, like the anarchy. That and my name is Anna, so of course I like the letter A. Okay, chaos. And I have to make sure that this is legible even at a distance. So I'm gonna go over here, select these. Nope. Let's lock the circle, so this way we're not disturbing that. I said I want to give this a look like it's hand drawn. I mean, technically it is hand drawn, but you know what I mean. Like it doesn't look too sterile, too digitized. And eventually I can go in and actually create a font. I do have the means to do that with the software, to create an in-house font for that. Okay, I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't look like it doesn't look like I ran out of space, because that happens to a lot of people, believe it or not. You're like, oh yeah, it looks good, and then you run out of space. You're like, crap. Okay, chaos. Chaos music. Now I want this to And I'm looking at the flow here. So again, right here, I'm tracking that this is circular. So I want to use the K as to kind of imply the curvature. It's just kind of like an implied line there. So I kind of want to keep that rhythm there. I want this to push down my eye here, flow down here. And again, I'm just having fun. I am not married to this. I am just having where'd you go? I'm just having fun with it. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't look cool. And it's just remembering some of my fundamental stuff that I learned while I was in college and stuff. Is this a great logo? Absolutely not. Is it my logo? Yes. And that's the fun part about logo design, that you can pretty much make whatever you want as long as it's memorable. Because that, at the end of the day, that's the important part. It has to be memorable. And let me give you a good example. So I'm not sure if you guys live near an area where there's a lot of moving trucks. There is one logo near here that always stands out in my mind, and that's called two guys in a truck. And if you actually see their logo, it's literally this poorly drawn. It looks like a kid drew it. I'm pretty sure if I dig into it, I can find out that this was probably drawn by the owner's child. But it's just a crudely drawn truck with like two dudes, like stick figures. And that's their logo. And I gotta tell you, I've been seeing that logo for years. And every time I see it, it cracks me up because I was like, look, no graphic designer probably used. If there was a graphic designer involved, I was gonna be like, yo, that's pretty impressive, because the logo is so memorable that every time I see it, it cracks me up. Okay, so here is what I got. I kind of like that because what I want to do, I want to create music that is kind of raw. It's all over the place. It's not really married to any particular genre, and I just like the rawness of kind of being like human, but also mixing it with tech. So I am going to. No, I gotta save this. Come on, save it. Yes, let's go ahead and save that. Okay, now here's a good test. You gotta make sure that you can read this when it's all the way down. Cause think about like when you're on YouTube, you don't get to see a full size of the logo. You get to see a little tiny part of the logo. And then I also want to see what this looks like in inverse colors. So I like this the way it is. So this is, I like it. This right here to me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start making my groups. So G. And I want this to be, so the group A, group B. And I tell people to make sure that, and this is a hard lesson that I keep drilling into my students, label your layers. Label your layers. Oh, for the love of God, please label your layers. Don't be that guy that doesn't label the layers, and then the other person has to come right behind you, and they got to figure out what on earth did you do. Now, the other thing is I want to make sure that this is transparent. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that that's cleared over there. So that's been cleared out. And then the next part that I want to do is now go ahead, grab this artboard, and I want to duplicate this. Oh, what did I lock? What is still locked in here? Ooh. It's telling me something's locked, but let me try something real quick. I don't think it's that. Okay. Well, okay. Totally fine. Totally fine. We're cool. Let's go grab that. Hidden lock items are but must not be moved. What is locked in here? Looks exactly the same. Okay. Whatevs. Okay, so that's layer 1. Now let's go ahead. So this is going to be black. This is going to be, so that's the OG. This is going to be white. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this entire thing. I'm going to migrate it down to another layer. Okay. It keeps telling me there's something locked, but I don't see it. Okay, then I'm going to select these elements. Before I do, let me create a new layer down here. And then I'm going to create a box. Ooh, I might have to expand this line right here because you can see it's not quite uh, black, but that's okay though. That's something that I can address here shortly. Okay, so let's go ahead and change that to, let's do white. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do that for those as well. It's F F F F F F F F F. And what's really fun about this, guys, is that I grew up in the when I moved to the States, man, I love punk music. I went from listening to like good girl Christian music, and then I ended up with a crush on this one dude, and he was listening to Sepultura and Pantera. So I went from wearing like pink skirts and makeup and skirts to jinkos, dark like heavy metal like Stabbing Westward t-shirts to all that jazz. It was, yeah, it was pretty fun. So yeah, so that's my story behind that. And so I like this because it still kind of reflects my love for like dark music, heavy metal music, but I want something that just kind of is across the board. I am not trying to mimic by any means any Japanese writing, any form or shape. I just really like the brush, and I like the texture that it gave this font right here. So I really like this. So this is kind of what I had in my head. The O turned out a little different, but I really like how this turned out. So with that, let me go ahead and let me see. Now I also want to see what this looks like in different colors. So I always like to do, so I mostly tend to operate when I'm doing logo design, I tend to do high contrast. So mostly because again, I don't know where this is going to be seen, how big or small it's going to be, and it's got to be something that is recognizable and legible almost immediately. So I always try to test it in black and white first, and then if I want to add a color, then I can go ahead add a color at a different point. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to grab the white chiffon. I'm going to duplicate one more time down here. Okay, can you tell me there's like hidden objects in here? Okay, there's now a third artboard. Okay. Anna's dumb. Ignore me. Anna has been special. Okay. There we go. So this in Khayos music. I'm gonna select this at the bottom, and I'm gonna move this in a brand new layer. You should be a new artboard. Yes, that is a new artboard. And if you're ever not sure if you have a new artboard, you can simply select the item, double click on it, and it should make you a brand new artboard for the item. Now I want to test this out on a different color. So let me see what other color do I want to try out for this. Let's go down here. See, I want to see, and this is what I want to see. I want to see what it looks like in different tones. So it still reads across the board no matter what I pick. So that's what I want. I want that heavy dramatic look and tone. Now all my stuff, y'all know this. All my stuff, it's got this particular purple. I need to get my hex code out, but I don't have it on me right now, so that's something that I'll pull out later. But I always, oh, why are you grayed out? Okay, let me look at the file mode. Why are you grayed out? It's gotta be some mode thing that I'm missing. So it says RGB preview, but it's coming out gray. What am I missing? Okay, give me 1 second, guys. I need to Google this because, again, it's been a little while, so I should know this at the top of my head, but again, I know about 13 pieces of software, so I'm not going to remember everything. Adobe Illustrator brings colors as gray. And yes, I'll be the first one to tell you that I use Google all the time because I can't remember. See. Okay, color mode. So go to edit, settings, color settings. US web, cancel. So you go to document color mode. I can't remember. Is it edit? Spelling, edit color. Convert to RGB. Color library. No, that was a different place. It was file, document setup, script, print, color mode. I mean, it's on RGB. I don't understand what's still doing that. Let me see. File, document. Yep, color mode. There it is. Okay, convert 16 hour. Okay, so this might be that I might just have to restart the software. There might be an update because sometimes that does happen. That it is behaving. It should be doing what it should be doing, but for whatever reason, the software is not quite 100% there. So, but you all can see if I click on it, there's the purple that I selected. Either way, I still have pretty much what I wanted out of this, which I got a dark color, a full black, a full white, and a color tone or a mid-tone of it, and I think it reached quite awesome. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just kind of pause right here. Like I said, thank you for joining me as I'm kind of developing this logo design. Like I said, this is for a new channel that I'm developing where it's going to be mostly for my music. I was debating whether to dump my music into this channel, but I want this one to physically be just my artwork, my physical artwork. And music is like a whole category. Plus, I'm using a completely new different set of tools that I normally do not use. So it's going to be more of a very experimental thing for me on that other channel. Why I didn't want to dump that in here, and some of you guys are here for the art, might not be here for the music. So this is something that I just kind of wanted to put together, and again, it's just being experimental. The worst that can happen is that I bomb, but that's okay. But this is the core stuff that I wanted to do. So thank you for joining me today as I'm designing this logo. I hope you guys like this content. So if you do, please like and subscribe, and I'll let you guys know when the other channel is up. So talk to you guys later. Peace.